Quantum shifting isn't complicated. That's the problem. As Carl Jung once said, who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. Today, I invite you to look within and realize that the shift you've been searching for isn't as complicated as your mind has made it. Quantum shifting happens not when you force, chase, or struggle, but when you finally allow yourself to be still and aligned. Imagine what could change in your life if you stopped complicating what was meant to be simple. Have you ever noticed that the biggest breakthroughs often come in the quietest moments? Share your thoughts in the comments, because your experience might be the key that inspires someone else's awakening. 1. The shift is a subtle moment, not a long struggle. The idea that transformation must be the result of endless effort is one of the greatest illusions of our time. People often imagine that only through years of meditation, countless rituals, or tireless attempts at self-improvement can they access real change. Yet true quantum shifting is far more subtle. It is not earned by struggle, but revealed in an instant, the very moment you stop fighting with life. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This points to the hidden truth. The instant you stop forcing, doubting, and chasing, the unconscious loses its grip and a door opens that has been there all along. The universe does not respond to desperation. It responds to presence. It is not when you push harder or repeat affirmations with clenched fists that the shift arrives. It comes when your inner world becomes still, when intelligence and spiritual wisdom meet in silence. Albert Einstein once reminded us, everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Quantum shifting is exactly this kind of simplicity, and that is what confuses the ego most. The ego thrives on complication, insisting that the path must be difficult to be valuable. Yet the truth is that the most powerful transformation is available in the quiet surrender of this very moment. Think about the times you let go in your own life. When you stopped obsessing over love, the right person appeared. When you released fear around money, opportunities surfaced as if out of nowhere. These were not coincidences. They were moments of alignment. Jung observed the same in his clinical practice. Breakthroughs emerged when patients finally released the pressure to control everything. The psyche, freed from the weight of striving, naturally shifted into a higher state. In your own journey, the leap does not wait on perfection, but on surrender. The problem is that the mind resists this simplicity. It whispers, "It cannot be this easy." And in believing that, you miss the doorway. Quantum shifting is not about adding more techniques or seeking hidden secrets. It is about peeling away what is false, noticing that the shift is already here. As Jung reminded us, who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. Awakening is not a distant destination, but a change of state that happens the moment you stop resisting and start trusting. Comment below. I embrace the subtle shift. If you're ready to experience the power of transformation without the struggle. 2. Simplicity triggers resistance. Simplicity is the very thing the ego cannot stand, because the human mind has been conditioned to believe that value comes only through struggle, sacrifice, and endless effort. Carl Jung reminded us that until the unconscious is made conscious, it will direct our lives, and we will call it fate. And so when life suddenly offers an effortless path, the ego feels attacked, as if its entire identity is crumbling. To the ego, ease is suspicious, too good to be true. And so people unconsciously sabotage the very grace they once prayed for, pushing away the answers they long to receive. In spirituality, this paradox repeats again and again. The doorway is open, the light is near, and yet the ego mistrusts it because it is simple. Quantum shifting does not require years of forcing or endless complicated techniques. It happens in a single moment of surrender, the instant you stop chasing and start allowing. Life is like water in your hands. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. But when you relax, it stays. That is why the ego fears simplicity, because its survival depends on convincing you that only through pain and effort will you ever arrive. But the truth is that alignment is what creates transformation, not strain. The universe does not reward your suffering. It responds to your frequency, and simplicity is the frequency of trust. In modern life, this resistance shows up everywhere. People chase job titles, achievements, relationships, and endless healing methods, believing that the harder they try, the closer they will be to fulfillment. Yet often, they only feel emptier. Think of the times you distrusted an opportunity or relationship because it felt too easy, only to later realize it was exactly what you needed. The ego whispers that simplicity is nonsense. But as Jung noted, the pendulum of the mind swings between sense and nonsense, not right and wrong. What seems too simple to the ego may be the highest wisdom to the soul. Simplicity is not laziness, it is alignment. The river does not strain to reach the ocean. It flows naturally because that is its essence, and you do not have to earn your worth through endless resistance. When you stop overcomplicating what is already flowing, you allow spiritual awakening to reveal itself. This is the quiet power that the ego cannot grasp. When you stop fighting reality, reality begins to fight for you. The soul does not thrive on struggle, but on surrender. And in that surrender, doors open quickly that once seemed permanently locked. Simplicity is not the absence of effort, it is the presence of clarity. And when you trust that clarity, the shift happens effortlessly. Leave your like, subscribe to spiritual wisdom, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss insights that awaken your mind. Remember, simplicity is the doorway to your greatest shifts. Type in the comments, "I embrace simplicity and allow abundance into my life." 3. The field responds to clarity and frequency, not effort. The field responds to clarity and frequency, not effort. And this principle shows us that true spirituality and spiritual development are not about how much you push yourself, but about how clean and coherent your inner state is. Many people live believing that breakthroughs only come through endless strategies, complex techniques, and constant hustle. But the truth is that the universe mirrors back the quality of your inner signal, not the quantity of your actions. When your thoughts, emotions, and intentions are simple, clear, and aligned, life flows naturally, and opportunities arrive without strain. Just as a radio only delivers music when tuned to the right frequency, your reality shifts only when your vibration is free from static. Carl Jung often reminded us that the inner world creates the outer one, and when your unconscious is aligned, the outer reality cannot resist but follow that alignment. You may recall moments when no matter how hard you worked, nothing seemed to move forward. And yet, in other times, when you acted with ease, everything unfolded smoothly. This is not coincidence, but the result of energetic clarity. The ego complicates what is simple, making you believe more effort equals more results. But in spirituality, the reverse often proves true. Simplicity is not weakness, it is strength. When your inner field is uncluttered, you become magnetic to the shifts you seek. Instead of adding more, you allow what is essential to shine. It is like water in a lake. The more you stir it, the more distorted the reflection becomes. But when it is still, the truth of the reflection reveals itself. This lesson invites you to stop forcing and start aligning. Transformation is not born of chaos, but of coherence. You do not need to abandon your goals, but you must learn to approach them from a calm and centered state, rather than a frantic and scattered one. Spiritual development asks you to be less of a chaser and more of a receiver, less concerned with proving effort and more focused on radiating clarity. Every time you breathe deeply, release doubt, and return to your center, you broadcast a frequency the field cannot ignore. The shift you desire is not delayed by lack of effort. It is delayed by lack of clarity. Your task each day is to clear your inner space. That may come through meditation, journaling, prayer, or even quiet moments in nature where your thoughts settle. As your energy becomes coherent, you discover that life bends with ease, because the field is always listening to your vibration. The signal you send is what returns to you, and that is why simplicity is not only powerful, but essential. By keeping your inner world aligned, you unlock a quantum shift that strategy alone could never deliver. The field does not respond to how much you struggle. It responds to how clearly you shine. 4. Your unconscious broadcast, conscious intention. Your unconscious broadcast will always outweigh your conscious intention, because the field reads your embodied frequency, not just the words you speak. It feels what you are, especially when no one is watching. And this is why subconscious scarcity or doubt easily overrides affirmations. You can say, "I am abundant," 1,000 times. But if deep down your energy still vibrates with fear or lack, the universe mirrors that hidden vibration back to you. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And this is exactly what happens when your unexamined beliefs quietly rule your reality. The truth is that your unconscious is like a radio tower, constantly broadcasting your real state of being. Every belief, every wound, every hidden fear sends out a signal, and that signal determines what you tune into in life. Your conscious mind may speak intentions and repeat affirmations, but the subconscious never lies, and its signal always overrides the noise of words. Intelligent spiritual wisdom begins with noticing this hidden broadcast and aligning it with the reality you want, because what you resist truly does persist, and what you embody, you attract. The ego complicates this process because it does not want to surrender. It thrives on struggle, on proving worthiness, on collecting spiritual techniques as if salvation is a checklist. But quantum shifting is not complicated. It happens in an instant, the very moment you stop forcing, stop doubting, stop chasing, and simply allow yourself to harmonize with the frequency of what you desire. The field responds not to effort, but to congruence. If your inner state radiates peace, trust, and abundance, life bends quickly to reflect that back. If your inner state radiates fear, scarcity, and doubt, life will echo that just as faithfully, no matter how polished your affirmations sound. Ask yourself in silence, what is my energy saying when no one is watching? What do I truly believe about myself and my life? These questions matter more than any ritual because they reveal the alignment or misalignment between what you want and what you are. Spiritual awakening is not about piling on complexity, but about stripping away everything false until only your authentic frequency remains. That is intelligence. That is spiritual wisdom. And that is where true power begins. Reality responds not to what you say, but to what you are. If you desire prosperity, embody gratitude and sufficiency now. If you desire love, radiate self-respect and openness now. If you desire freedom, release the chains of doubt now. The quantum shift is not earned through time or effort. It is chosen in a single moment of inner alignment. When your unconscious no longer contradicts your conscious intention, the universe flows effortlessly with you, showing that simplicity has always been the gateway to transformation. If you're ready to align your conscious intention with the power of your unconscious broadcast, comment below, I will meditate, to affirm your commitment to this journey of transformation. 5. Self-awareness is the first mastery skill. Self-awareness is the first and most essential mastery because it is the root of all true transformation. And Carl Jung's reminder that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate, reveals why this step cannot be skipped. Spirituality begins not in chasing after complex rituals, but in learning to cultivate a non-judgmental awareness that observes thoughts and emotional reflexes as they arise in real time. This kind of awareness allows you to step outside of the old survival patterns that usually dictate your reactions. The anger that flares when you feel misunderstood, the fear that pushes you to prove yourself, or the sadness that isolates you when life feels overwhelming. By watching instead of reacting, you reclaim the space to choose, and in that space, the process of spiritual awakening begins. The beauty of awareness is that it is disarmingly simple, yet profoundly powerful. When you stop labeling your thoughts as good or bad and simply notice them, they begin to lose their grip on you. The ego feeds on judgment and reaction, but when you just watch, its power fades. Think of how modern life constantly tempts you into automatic responses. The instant irritation while scrolling through social media, the tightening in your chest during a stressful meeting, the rush of comparison when someone else succeeds. Self-awareness lets you catch these reflexes at the very moment they appear, before they spiral into bigger emotions or destructive actions. The Buddha taught that awareness is the greatest agent of change. And in today's world of constant noise and distraction, that wisdom is not just ancient, it is urgent. When you train yourself to notice without judgment, you realize that most of your struggles are not with the world outside, but with the unexamined patterns inside. Spirituality is not about escaping difficulties, but about awakening to how your mind and emotions shape every moment of experience. You may not control what others say or do, but you always have the power to choose how you respond. Awareness shifts you from being the victim of circumstances into becoming the creator of your reality. Picture yourself in a stressful situation. Instead of collapsing into panic, you notice the shallow breath, the racing thought, the fear whispering failure. By noticing, you break the cycle. With a deeper breath, the same energy that would have fueled fear now fuels presence, clarity, and strength. This mastery of awareness tunes you back to the intelligence within, the quiet wisdom that modern life often buries under noise. It is like tuning an instrument. When it is aligned, every note resonates in harmony. In the same way, when your awareness aligns, every decision and action flows from clarity rather than chaos. Jung also said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." And this is the essence of spiritual awakening. Looking inside is not about denying the shadow or pretending away discomfort. It is about witnessing both your light and your wounds with compassion. In a world that glorifies busyness, cultivating awareness is an act of inner freedom because it frees you from cycles of stress, fear, and unconscious living. Awareness is not a technique to be practiced once and forgotten. It is the ground on which all spirituality grows. Without it, meditation becomes routine, affirmations become empty, and manifestation becomes forced. With it, even the smallest acts pausing before you speak, observing your emotion before it controls you, noticing your ego before it blinds you, become sacred tools that shift your reality. The truth is, self-awareness is not complicated, and that is precisely why it is so often missed. Yet for those who embrace it, the simple act of observing oneself without judgment is nothing less than the doorway to a new life. 6. Radical responsibility and accountability stabilize your field. Radical responsibility and accountability are the true foundations of stability in your spiritual field. Because when you fully own what you emit, without slipping into blame or excuses, you step into the role of conscious creator rather than passive reactor. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And this wisdom reminds you that every thought, every word, and every emotional frequency you radiate becomes the silent architect of your reality. If you allow resentment, fear, or doubt to dominate your inner space, life will mirror those vibrations back through difficult encounters and closed doors. But when you deliberately choose vibrational anchors like peace, gratitude, and faith, and you hold your state with consistency, the universe itself must align with that energy and reflect it back to you in the form of harmony, opportunity, and growth. This is not a mystical abstraction, but the practical essence of spirituality and the deepest mark of spiritual development, because true mastery lies not in controlling the outer world, but in stabilizing the inner one. Think about how easily you can lose your center in daily life. You may wake up calm and aligned, but one sharp comment, one unexpected problem, or one moment of comparison on social media can unravel your peace in seconds. That is the sign that you have allowed external chaos to dictate your vibration. Radical responsibility is the decision to say, "This is my field, and I alone decide the energy I hold." It is not about punishing yourself for setbacks or pretending challenges don't exist. It is about claiming your right to choose your response. In this way, accountability becomes empowerment because you stop giving away your energy to circumstances and start shaping your life from a place of conscious strength. In the modern world, this truth is more relevant than ever. Social media, with its endless waves of envy, outrage, and distraction, can easily pull you into emotional storms if you do not root yourself in the anchors you have chosen. Yet when you decide to stabilize in compassion, authenticity, and resilience, you build a frequency that shields you from being swept away by negativity. This is where spirituality meets daily living. Not in escaping from traffic, stress, or conflict, but in walking through them with inner steadiness that cannot be shaken. The moment you refuse to let the outer world decide your vibration, you become free. Because your peace, your strength, and your joy no longer depend on conditions that flow from your own alignment. Life is always responding, always mirroring, and when you hold your state consistently, it cannot help but reflect the essence you choose to embody. You may not control what comes to you, but you absolutely influence how it takes shape around you. That is why spiritual development is not about complexity, but about constancy, anchoring your field so firmly in your chosen vibration that reality itself reorganizes to meet it. Stability is not rigidity. It is the quiet power to stand steady while everything around you shifts, to radiate light even in darkness, and to remain whole even in the face of challenge. When you own your energy without blame, when you choose your anchors with intention, and when you hold your state no matter what, you transform from a seeker into a creator. And in that transformation, your true quantum shift begins. 7. The threshold before a shift feels like collapse. Don't misread it. The threshold before a true quantum shift often feels like collapse. But this collapse is not an ending. It is the clearing of space. When confusion, exhaustion, or despair flood your experience, you are not failing. You are standing in the fragile space where the old identity is disassembling so something new can take root. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." And this awakening is precisely what is unfolding in the silence beneath your struggle. The field of life responds not when you strive harder, but when you stop forcing, doubting, and chasing, and instead allow yourself to inhabit the moment with intelligence and spiritual wisdom. This in-between stage has often been described as a hallway between timelines. It is dim, directionless, and uncomfortable, yet it is the most sacred part of transformation. In that hallway, the maps you once relied on no longer guide you, and the new map has not yet been drawn. You may feel lost, but this is exactly what allows new pathways to form. If you label it as failure, you lock yourself into the past. If you resist it, you slip back into the same patterns that once kept you small. By practicing detachment and releasing the urge to name every sensation as good or bad, right or wrong, you stop feeding the ego's need for complexity. Albert Einstein once reminded us, everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Simplicity is precisely the power of this hallway, though the ego resists it because simplicity strips away drama and control. Detachment in this context is not coldness or withdrawal, but the wise intelligence of your soul. It is the ability to feel deeply without clinging, to witness emotions without turning them into identity, to hold presence without being consumed by the story. This is an act of true spiritual intelligence, staying open while allowing what is old to fall apart. Instead of grasping for certainty, you breathe through uncertainty. Instead of retreating into fear, you lean into curiosity. These are small, practical acts, a slow, mindful walk, a warm cup of water held with attention, and a few minutes of conscious breathing. They may seem ordinary, but they are the anchors that stabilize your nervous system while reality reshapes itself. The collapse you feel is not punishment, but preparation. The fatigue, the despair, the disorientation are evidence that the old architecture of your life is loosening. Trust this threshold. Allow the hallway to be what it is, a passage, not a prison. Jung reminded us that there is no coming to consciousness without pain, and in this liminal space, you are being invited to expand consciousness, not retreat into fear. If you can hold stillness, if you can release the habit of labeling, if you can remain unattached to outcome, the quantum shift that once seemed distant will arrive quietly. The hallway will open into a new timeline, and you will realize that collapse was never destruction. It was the hidden beginning of awakening. 8. Practical posture. Tune. Don't push. Embody the new identity. Transformation does not arise from pushing harder or forcing yourself into a new identity, but from tuning your inner state until it resonates with the life you are meant to live. As Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." This truth reflects the essence of spirituality and spiritual awakening. The shift is not about creating something from nothing, but about aligning with what already exists within you in another timeline. You don't have to conquer endless challenges or prove your worth through relentless effort. The real power lies in coherence, in breathing into the discomfort, holding your energy steady, and letting your being tune itself to the frequency of transformation. Your attention is like a laser, and wherever it is consistently directed, reality bends to meet it. Instead of scattering your focus on doubts, fears, or endless striving, you anchor it in the identity you are stepping into. This is the practice of embodying the phrase, "I am the shift." You walk, speak, and act as if the transformation has already taken place, because in truth, it already exists. Modern life encourages hustle and constant proving, but spiritual wisdom reveals that coherence, not force, is what makes the shift inevitable. Just as a radio tunes into a station without strain, your soul tunes into its destined reality when you hold alignment with calm determination. Discomfort becomes a sacred signal. Most people see discomfort as a barrier to escape or battle, but spirituality reframes it as a threshold, a portal of awakening. When you choose to breathe deeply and remain present, you stop running from yourself and instead allow your system to recalibrate to a higher vibration. In that moment, the discomfort is no longer your enemy, but your teacher. Holding your signal through discomfort shows the universe that you will not shrink back into the old timeline, and this unwavering presence becomes the very bridge into the new. Each time you practice this, you strengthen your capacity to stay aligned, and it becomes second nature to live as the shift itself. In a world overflowing with distractions, deadlines, and social pressures, the temptation to overexert is constant. Yet the most profound spiritual awakening comes when you resist the urge to force and instead embody the reality you know is already true. You reclaim your power by pausing, by centering, and by remembering that you are not becoming something new, but revealing what you have always been. Carl Jung's wisdom resonates here. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. By tuning instead of pushing, you bring the unconscious into light, and your life becomes a deliberate act of creation rather than a reaction to old patterns. Every time you feel the impulse to push, remind yourself that pushing is born of fear, while tuning is born of trust. You are not chasing after change. You are embodying an identity that already exists beyond the veil of doubt. Breathe into the unease. Hold your signal. Focus your attention like a laser, and act as if the shift is already yours. This is the spiritual path, not running, not proving, but living in coherence with your higher self. When you live this way, transformation stops being a distant goal and becomes an inevitable unfolding of who you truly are. And so, the truth about quantum shifting is not that it's complicated, but that it's far too simple for the ego to accept. Real transformation begins in the moment you release control and allow life to move through you. If this message spoke to your spirit, I invite you to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming insights into spiritual awakening and inner growth. Your journey has only just begun. Quantum manifestation isn't hard, but this is why you're failing. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The truth is, most people fail at manifestation, not because it's complicated, but because they overlook the simple power of alignment. Quantum manifestation isn't about forcing reality with endless affirmations or rituals. It's about stepping into resonance with the life you desire. As you listen today, I encourage you to reflect. Where in your life are you still trying to push instead of align? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because your story might inspire someone else on their journey. Welcome to Spiritual Wisdom, where together we uncover the truths that can transform your daily life into a path of growth, happiness, and freedom. 1. Manifestation isn't effort, it's alignment. Most people mistakenly believe that manifestation is a battle to be won through endless affirmations, elaborate rituals, and perfectly crafted visualizations. Yet beneath their effort lies an inner state still clouded by fear, doubt, and scarcity. This is where the process collapses, because manifestation is not about effort, it is about alignment. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." If your unconscious mind is still rooted in conflict, no amount of surface work can change your reality in any lasting way. The quantum field, an infinite field of possibility, does not respond to struggle, but to coherence. It listens not to how loudly you declare affirmations, but to the harmony between your thoughts, emotions, and actions. In this intelligent spiritual wisdom, the field reflects what you truly are, rather than what you pretend to be. Think of your inner state as soil. If it is fertile and aligned, even a single seed blossoms. If it is rocky and neglected, no amount of watering will make it grow. Alignment prepares the soil of your soul, while effort alone leaves it barren. This is why so many fail. They visualize wealth while secretly feeling unworthy, repeat mantras while carrying unhealed wounds, and chase abundance while broadcasting stress into the universe. They expect the outer world to shift while ignoring the chaos within. Albert Einstein reminded us, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. The universe is not withholding. It is mirroring. It responds to your true vibration, not the mask you wear. To manifest authentically, you must dare to heal, to integrate the shadow, and to bring unconscious patterns into the light. Jung called this the privilege of a lifetime, becoming who you truly are. When you align with your wholeness, the field responds instantly because you are no longer asking from a place of lack, but embodying the reality itself. True manifestation is not about pushing harder. It is about surrendering deeper. It is the intelligence of the soul aligning with the intelligence of the universe. When coherence replaces conflict, when your words, emotions, and actions flow in the same direction, manifestation becomes natural, not forced. You no longer fight against reality. You live in harmony with it. And in that harmony, the quantum field delivers with elegance what struggle could never achieve. Comment below. I align with the flow of abundance. If you are ready to shift from forcing effort to embodying true alignment. 2. You don't get it, you collapse into it. Manifestation is not about chasing after what you desire, but about collapsing into the reality where it already exists, where you are no longer separated from it, but living as if it were your present truth. Carl Jung's reminder that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate, captures this perfectly, because manifestation is never about outer effort, but about inner embodiment. When you become the version of yourself who already has what you seek, the timeline naturally rearranges itself to reflect that state, and life begins to mirror back the vibration you carry. This is why manifestation fails when approached as a performance of rituals, affirmations, and forced positivity, because the body still lives in scarcity and fear, and reality cannot be tricked into responding to words it does not feel are true. The privilege of manifestation lies in awakening to who you already are, because spirituality and spiritual awakening reveal that you are not summoning something from nothing, but collapsing into the possibility that already exists in the quantum field. If you long for financial freedom, you must stop waiting for the future and begin carrying the energy of someone already free, moving through life with decisions anchored in security rather than fear. If you crave love, it is not enough to repeat, "I am loved," while feeling empty. You must live as someone who loves and is worthy of love. And from that state, the world reorganizes itself to confirm it. This collapse into reality is not a mental trick, but a nervous system alignment, where your energy radiates safety, coherence, and certainty, and the field responds to match. In everyday life, you can see how this works. A desperate candidate in a job interview repels opportunities, but the one who walks in with confidence and calm draws them in. A person entering relationships feeling unworthy attracts rejection, while the one who carries quiet worthiness becomes magnetic to love. Jung warned that what you resist not only persists, but will grow in size, which is why fighting against your lack only deepens it. Collapsing into abundance is not denial. It is embodiment of the truth that you already hold within. The best athletes don't hope for victory. They live it in advance until their bodies, minds, and emotions are rehearsed into inevitability. Likewise, manifestation is living ahead of time, aligning so deeply with your outcome that reality bends around your state. Every day, you collapse into an identity, whether consciously or unconsciously. The choice is whether you collapse into fear and scarcity, or into trust, abundance, and the intelligence of spiritual wisdom. Neville Goddard's teaching to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled is not fantasy, but a map for living in coherence with what you desire. Faith is not passive waiting. Faith is alignment in action, the quiet knowing that you are already there. When you stop striving to get and begin embodying the self who has already arrived, manifestation ceases to be a struggle and becomes a natural unfolding of your inner state. This is the essence of spirituality and the heart of spiritual awakening. You are not chasing life. You are collapsing into the truth that you already are the person who lives it. 3. The quantum field reads, energy, not words. You can say the words 1,000 times. You can repeat your affirmations morning and night. Write them in a journal, post them on your mirror, and even chant them with conviction. But if your nervous system is still steeped in anxiety, if your chest still tightens with the fear of not having enough, if your stomach churns when you think of bills, the universe isn't responding to the words, it's responding to the energy beneath them. That's the law of the quantum field. As Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And in the realm of quantum manifestation, fate is just misaligned energy playing itself out. You see, the quantum field doesn't speak English or any language. It reads vibrations. It listens to your body, not your vocabulary. It mirrors your dominant emotional signature, not your goals, not your logic, and certainly not your forced positivity. This is why spirituality and spiritual development are not about saying the right things, but about becoming the right frequency. When your words and energy are in harmony, you don't manifest, you magnetize. You're no longer chasing your desires. Your desires are recognizing you as home. What blocks most people isn't a lack of effort, but a lack of coherence. They're trying to speak of abundance while embodying scarcity. They're reciting, "I am wealthy," while carrying generations of lack in their posture, their tone, their breath. And the field doesn't negotiate, it reflects. You might tell yourself, you deserve love. But if your heart is guarded, your trust broken, and your nervous system still scans for betrayal, the energy of protection overrides the desire for connection. The field isn't judging you, it's just reading your broadcast. This is where true spiritual development begins in the body, not in the mind. In your breath, your posture, your daily self-trust. Energy doesn't lie. If you walk through life in a state of stress, anxiety, or resentment, your words become noise. But if you walk with embodied peace, self-worth, and faith, your silence alone becomes magnetic. The breakthrough isn't in learning more techniques. It's in unlearning the survival patterns that keep you in energetic contradiction. So don't ask, "What else should I say?" Ask, "What am I still carrying that contradicts what I say?" Your job is to become so aligned, so vibrationally whole, that the quantum field has no choice but to reflect back the truth you're living. That's not magic, it's resonance. And it's available to anyone committed to authenticity over performance. This is the heart of spirituality, not controlling outcomes, but aligning with who you were always meant to be. So pause, breathe, feel. Ask yourself, right now, does my body believe what my mouth is saying? If not, go deeper, because the field is listening. And it's not listening to your affirmations. It's listening to your embodiment. Leave your likes and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. And don't forget to activate the notification bell so you won't miss any insights that help you align with the quantum field and create your best life. Comment below. I attract abundance with my energy. If you're ready to manifest from within. 4. Coherence is the key mind, heart, and nervous system. When you manifest, the most important factor is not how many affirmations you repeat or how much effort you invest. It is whether your mind, heart, and nervous system are aligned in coherence. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And this truth lies at the very center of manifestation. If your thoughts are pointing toward abundance, but your emotions are stuck in fear and your nervous system is still vibrating with stress, you are sending out a broken signal. The universe does not answer words alone. It answers the total frequency of your being. Think of yourself as a transmitter of energy. Your thoughts provide the words, your emotions add the tone, and your nervous system sets the frequency. When these three elements are in harmony, your signal becomes clear, strong, and undeniable. But if you think one thing, feel another, and act in a completely different way, your message becomes distorted, and what comes back to you is confusion, delay, or even chaos. Spiritual wisdom shows that manifestation is not about pushing harder or controlling reality. It is about resonance. Intelligence in manifestation is not found in force, but in coherence. Many people fail because they try to dominate their reality with willpower alone. They chant affirmations they do not believe. They visualize futures they secretly doubt, and they force positivity while their body still clings to fear and scarcity. This inner conflict collapses the entire process. Jung's psychology explains why. The shadow, when unacknowledged, sabotages conscious intention. You may declare, "I am abundant," but if the deeper self whispers, "I am unworthy," the quantum field will not respond to your words. It will respond to your truest frequency. Coherence is the remedy. Manifestation only flows when your thoughts support your emotions and your nervous system feels safe to hold the reality you are calling in. It is like tuning a radio. If the frequency is even slightly off, static fills the air. But once the alignment is precise, the signal becomes crystal clear. Your mind sets intention, your heart fuels it with emotion, and your nervous system anchors it in safety and trust. When these three centers align, the quantum field mirrors them instantly. This requires practical intelligence meditation to calm the nervous system, journaling to reshape destructive thought patterns, gratitude to awaken and strengthen the heart. Each practice brings another layer of your being into harmony, creating a state of spiritual coherence that turns your manifestation into magnetism. Jung warned, "What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size." Resistance feeds fragmentation, but integration dissolves it, leaving your energy clear, grounded, and powerful. Failure in manifestation is never because the universe ignores you. It is because your inner broadcast is fractured. Your true power lies in aligning mind, heart, and body into one coherent signal. This is the essence of spiritual wisdom, the reason quantum manifestation is both simple and profound. The field does not respond to confusion. It responds to clarity. When your entire being vibrates in truth, your manifestations are no longer distant hopes. They are realities already in motion. 5. The subconscious is the true manifester. The subconscious mind quietly dictates 95% of your life, and this hidden force often overrides the conscious desires you fight so hard to achieve. You may tell yourself you want abundance, success, or love. But if your subconscious has been wired through fear, lack, or unresolved trauma, then every conscious effort you make is sabotaged before it can take root. Carl Jung warned us of this reality when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This is why so many traditional methods of affirmations, vision boards, or visualizations collapse. Because beneath the surface, the soil of your mind is poisoned with old wounds that have never been healed. Think of it like planting seeds in barren ground. No matter how much sunlight or water you give, nothing will grow if the soil is filled with toxins. The subconscious works in exactly this way. You can paste images of dream houses, repeat mantras of wealth, or picture your soulmate's face every night. But if the deeper layers of your psyche are still echoing with stories of abandonment, shame, or unworthiness, those old patterns will pull you back like an anchor. Jung's idea of shadow work is not just theory. It is a necessary act of spiritual awakening. The moment you turn inward to face the beliefs and fears you've suppressed for years. By confronting the parts of yourself that whisper, "I'm not enough," you begin to release the chains that keep you bound to cycles of scarcity and disappointment. This is why true manifestation does not happen through sheer willpower, but through alignment. The subconscious is the real manifester because it is the fertile ground where intentions either flourish or wither. When the soil is rich with self-worth, healing, and trust in the universe, manifestation feels natural, as if life itself bends to meet you halfway. Suddenly, opportunities appear, relationships shift, and abundance flows, not because you forced it, but because you became energetically aligned. This is spirituality in practice, the awakening of your inner world to the truth that what you carry within will always be reflected without. Modern culture often sells the illusion that manifestation is about forcing positivity, chanting mantras, or endlessly visualizing your goals. But positive thinking without subconscious healing is like sailing against a relentless current. You exhaust yourself, repeat empty affirmations, and wonder why nothing changes. The answer is simple, yet profound. Your outer life cannot rise higher than your inner programming. Real transformation requires pausing to ask, what fears still control me? What beliefs did I inherit that no longer serve my growth? What emotions have I buried that continue to shape my choices? When you begin to bring these hidden truths into light, you reclaim your power and rewire the subconscious to support, not sabotage, your desires. The moment you unite conscious intention with a healed and reprogrammed subconscious, you stop chasing manifestation and instead embody it. You stop trying to convince yourself of abundance and start living as if abundance is your natural state. You stop begging for love and begin radiating the energy that draws love towards you. This is the essence of spiritual wisdom, where manifestation is not a trick or a ritual, but the inevitable expression of a mind and soul finally in harmony. As Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. When you awaken, you no longer try to force life into your vision. You become the vision, and life unfolds to match it. If this idea resonates with you, comment below, "I agree." And if you see it differently, share your perspective with, "I don't think so." Your voice matters in this conversation. 6. You must feel first, before the form arrives. Quantum manifestation requires that you first become the version of yourself who already has what you desire. You must feel it, live it, and breathe it now, not after it arrives. This is where most people fail. They wait for external evidence before giving themselves permission to feel whole, worthy, or abundant. But the quantum field doesn't respond to your waiting. It responds to your now. As Carl Jung reminds us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Most people unconsciously vibrate from fear, scarcity, or longing, even while speaking words of positivity. But manifestation isn't about repeating the right phrase. It's about becoming a coherent frequency that naturally draws in what matches it. The quantum field doesn't obey your words. It echoes your state of being. You say you want love, but are you embodying love? You say you want wealth, but are you living as if you're already abundant? Spirituality teaches us that everything starts within. Spiritual development isn't a luxury, it's the root of creation. When you heal your nervous system, shift your beliefs, and stop identifying with your past, you free your energy to align with the future that already exists for you in the field of infinite possibilities. The reason most people don't manifest what they want isn't because the universe says no. It's because their emotional signature is saying something completely different than their conscious desire. You can't trick the field with surface-level positivity. If you're still operating from a core belief that you are not enough, that you'll never make it, or that you don't deserve joy, the field will faithfully mirror those beliefs back to you through experience. This is not punishment, it's precision. The field is neutral. It gives you not what you beg for, but what you consistently are. That's why spiritual awakening matters. It peels back the illusions, the conditioning, the survival patterns, and it reveals the truth beneath the noise, that you are always enough, that you were never separate, that you are already connected to the version of you who has it all. The question is, will you feel it first? Or will you keep waiting, delaying, doubting, until form gives you permission to believe? The deeper truth is that quantum manifestation is not about effort, but about energetic embodiment. You don't manifest by controlling the external. You manifest by mastering the internal. The field responds to wholeness, to gratitude, to grounded certainty, not desperation. You must walk like it's yours, speak like it's done, and feel like you're home. Because when you truly align your frequency with your desire, you no longer chase it and it finds you. This is not about pretending. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to forget. When your thoughts, emotions, and body come into harmony, the field reflects back coherence. And coherence is magnetic. So if you want the form to arrive, start by embodying the feeling. Live from the inside out. This is the essence of quantum creation, and this is the spiritual wisdom that changes everything. 7. Emotional regulation and daily practices are non-negotiable. Emotional regulation is the foundation of quantum manifestation, because without mastering your inner state, Every intention collapses under the weight of unconscious chaos. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And this truth reminds you that emotions are not obstacles, but intelligent signals guiding you back into alignment. To be emotionally fluent means welcoming sadness, fear, anger, or joy without drowning in them, allowing yourself to feel deeply while gently returning to balance. The universe does not reflect the words you repeat, but the state you embody. And when your body is locked in fear or scarcity, no affirmation can override that. Only through presence and awareness do you shift your vibration into coherence, where your heart, mind, and energy flow as one. Practices like conscious breathing, meditation, and heart coherence are not optional, but daily disciplines that train your nervous system to return to harmony. Just as an athlete cannot expect results without consistent practice, you cannot expect manifestation to unfold while neglecting the inner work. Jung also said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." And this awakening requires you to stop running from discomfort and instead embrace emotions as guides. Feeling grief without collapsing, anger without exploding, and joy without clinging is the essence of spiritual intelligence, and it transforms your relationship with the quantum field. When you radiate coherence and calmness instead of fear and doubt, reality reshapes itself to mirror that energy. The secret is found in small daily acts of alignment. A few minutes of conscious breath, journaling, or reflection rewires your system and brings you back to center. These micro practices are not trivial. They are the foundation of quantum leaps. Neville Goddard was right when he said, "Feeling is the secret," because your emotions are the vibrational language of the universe. To regulate them is to speak fluently to the field of infinite possibility. This is why so many fail. They try to force positive thinking on top of unresolved pain, but the quantum field responds only to alignment, not effort. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Every time you return to coherence, even after being pulled into fear or stress, you strengthen your spiritual wisdom and intelligence. There is no need to feel good all the time, but there is a need to feel fully without losing yourself. To honor your emotions while guiding them back toward harmony. Jung reminded us, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Yet when you accept this truth, pain becomes the teacher that awakens your highest self. Breath, reflection, and emotional fluency are the keys that open the door. And when you live in that alignment, quantum manifestation ceases to be a struggle and becomes your natural state. To honor your growth, commit to making emotional regulation and daily practices a priority. Comment below, "I choose discipline," to affirm your dedication and encourage others on their journey. 8. Simplicity is why most miss it. Quantum manifestation is often missed not because it is complex, but because it is astonishingly simple. You are conditioned to believe that success comes only from relentless control, from pushing, chasing, and forcing outcomes. Yet the deeper truth, revealed through spirituality and spiritual awakening, is that creation begins not in struggle, but in surrender. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." And this wisdom explains why so many people fail in manifestation. They are trying to overpower life with their conscious will, while their unconscious remains full of fear, scarcity, and mistrust. And so the signal they send to the universe is incoherent. The quantum field does not bend to effort, it bends to alignment. And until you live in coherence, no amount of affirmation or visualization can take root. People repeat words they do not believe, imagine futures they secretly doubt, and force themselves to smile while their body remains trapped in tension. This is like planting seeds and digging them up every day to see if they have grown. Nothing flourishes under such impatience. The field responds only when you stop trying so hard, when you breathe into trust and embody the frequency of what you desire. Albert Einstein once said, "Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it." Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. The simplicity is the challenge, because it asks you to release the illusion of control and choose coherence instead of chaos. In modern life, this truth is everywhere. You chase success through endless labor, and the harder you grip, the faster burnout arrives. You pursue love with desperation, only to repel it further. You fight for peace by battling your own thoughts, and the more you struggle, the more restless you become. The paradox is clear. The more you force, the further you drift. Manifestation requires you to shift from chasing to allowing, from trying to embodying. The quantum field mirrors not what you say, but who you are. And if your being is rooted in fear, no declaration can override it. But if your being is rooted in trust, in calm certainty, then life responds with synchronicity and flow. Spiritual awakening teaches that coherence is alignment between mind, body, and soul. If you think of wealth but still feel poor, your vibration is fractured. If you speak of love but fear abandonment, the signal is distorted. True coherence arises when your thoughts, emotions, and actions move together, when your inner state becomes the very reality you seek. The more you practice trust, gratitude, and calm presence, the more your frequency stabilizes, and the field has no choice but to reflect your vibration back to you. The essence of manifestation is not about becoming something else, but about awakening to what you already are. When you step out of resistance, when you stop chasing and instead live as though it is already done, the universe begins to conspire on your behalf. This is the secret most overlooked. Not effort, but alignment. Not control, but coherence. Not chasing, but embodying. And so, the real secret is not in chasing manifestation with force, but in aligning with the deeper currents of the quantum field that Carl Jung himself hinted at in the space where psyche and matter intertwine. If this message spoke to you, let it be a reminder that your transformation begins in the unseen. To keep journeying with us into wisdom that awakens the soul, make sure you like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming insights into manifestation, psychology, and spiritual awakening.